It's a little bit of a story, but I find it fascinating because, okay, good. This is what shaped me into the fighter I am today was that loss. And I know that it happens to a lot of fighters, and those moments of like the deep sorrow and that hurt, it really can be the moment to where I think it sends you to great heights or it plummets you to the lowest depths. You can either allow that moment to take you over, or you can learn how to live with it and come back and build and really focus on what did I do wrong.
Also, REYNOSO KNOWS SO. That's a sick name, man.
Bro, I appreciate that.
Went from watching in the stands and watching guys like you and the guys that were like from a generation before me.
Whenever I do fight again, I need Cristian Reynoso there on commentary. Otherwise, I'm not doing it.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another edition of REYNOSO KNOWS SO. Cristian here, and I guess we're going to carry on with what I'm going to call a Contender series. Last week, we sat down with Jon Kunneman on week 1 of the Contender series, and today, I get to sit down with somebody from we're going to be seeing in week 2 of the Contender series. Super excited because today I'm being joined by one of the hottest prospects on the road to the UFC. After being a Division I wrestler and suffering just 1 loss as a professional, he has since been absolutely relentless, rattling off 9 straight wins, 8 finishes to bring him to an unbelievable 10-1. And this Tuesday, he gets the opportunity that he's been waiting for as he fights on Dana White's Contender series, looking to walk away with a UFC contract. Please welcome none other than the Warverine, Logan.
That's it. That's it, baby. Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on the show. Thank you. I'm glad we can talk now and connect before we elicit some violence.
Dude, my man, I had the pleasure of getting to meet you a couple months back. I called you last fight at APFC. That was in November. But we didn't really get to know each other too well because you're out there for 33 seconds, getting the job done quick, making my job super easy. So let's talk about it, man. It's been kind of almost, I'll call it a full circle moment, because since then, you've been looking to get that next opportunity, and now you're live from Vegas, 48 hours from the opportunity of a lifetime. How surreal is this?
Dude, it's so cool, honestly. And the more the closer it gets, the more surreal it's even getting. I think I had that beginning peak when I first got the news. I was just through the roof, so excited. I finally get the call. I finally get to actually make a case and make my dreams a reality. And all I've ever said is, hey, give me a shot. I don't want any favors. I don't want any layups. Just put me where I need to be, and I'll do the rest. And so that's what I've always ever can ask for. And then it kind of, then you go through a whole long 10-week camp and everything. You go through the trials and errors and just the ins and outs of a camp, and you start to kind of lull yourself in just into the grind. And then now we're on fight week, and now it's peaking again, brother. It's peaking.
Yeah, I mean, you're one of those guys that I'd imagine is not super easy to get, an opponent for. Not a lot of people are jumping in line to fight someone that's not just has a record like yours, but clearly a lot of momentum, right?
Yes.
But when the UFC comes a call and Uncle Dana's on the other line, you're gonna sign no matter who's on the other line. And so you're 48 hours from getting locked in the cage against Cristian Perez, another very talented guy. He's been on the show before. 14-2, dangerous everywhere. When you look at him, is there anything that stands out or something that that maybe you think we don't have to go with the game plan, but anything that you just see glaring at you that you want to pinpoint?
Yeah, no, it's honestly, it's such, like you said, it's a full circle moment for me as well. Not just from us, having talked and just now being APFC and now being interviewed and before the fight. It's also a full circle because I actually watched this fight live last year. Cristian Perez. I was following Manuel Souza a little bit, who was his opponent from the last year's Contender series, because Manuel Souza fought my teammate Archie Colgan in a prior fight, and Colgan was able to put him away, or I think it was a decision, but Colgan would dominate every round, really out-grappled him. So I was like, oh, this Souza guy's pretty good though. Maybe I'll have to fight him myself one day. So going in the Contender series, seeing that he was getting his chance, I wanted to track him, just to see how well he'd do. And that's when Cristian Perez kind of got under my radar. And to my surprise, he came out and he, like you said, tough kid. He brought the heat from the get-go, did an Imranari roll right off the bat, was looking to showcase his skills. I was definitely surprised how well he was handling Souza the first 2 rounds, at least in the grappling department. Yeah, he didn't want to stand and strike with Souza at all. But then when it came to the third round, I think sometimes these big opportunities can get the better of you, and you might blow your load. You might do too much too quick. You might try to impress the fans, impress Dana, rather than really just being true to who you are, and just winning the fight. So unfortunately, he came on that third round and he was just gassed, shot a bad takedown, got finished by Souza on the feet. And in that moment, as good of a athlete he was all around in Perez, I saw that he had quit in him. And I remember noting this back then, that he was 3 minutes maybe from, he would have probably got a contract, getting his dream done. And despite the moment, he couldn't go 3 more minutes to get to get his hand raised. So that really told me something. And I'm not banking on him, quitting in my fight, because I'll go 3 rounds any day of the week. But I do know my style is different than Souza's. I'm more of a pressure fighter. I do entice the wrestling a lot, and just I like to make fights ugly if I have to, because that's where I do some of my best work. And I think if anybody can make somebody quit through pressure, I do think it is me. So exciting matchup. I really am excited, and it almost feels like it's supposed to happen, because he was one of the few fights I watched last year.
Do you again, not to worry too much about what's running through his mind, but do you feel there's more pressure on somebody coming into the second, like you said, maybe fumble the bag in that third round, right? And now it's getting that other chance, or do you not even does that not even really cross your mind?
It's I'd say it's a drop in the bucket, right? It's a feather in the cap. It's something that you can think about, but I think I don't necessarily it doesn't stir my pot too much. I don't necessarily think about it too much. Besides the fact that yeah, I mean, we're all gonna be nervous out there, one way or the other. Whether it's it's your second time coming on having a loss, whether it's your first time. I think there's advantages of both. But in the day, we're all chasing the same dream. We're all definitely gonna be battling nerves and just trying to get our psyches in the right place. So I think at the end of the day, we're gonna fight, and that's the beautiful part, despite how whatever happens outside the cage.
Well, you did. I mean, you kind of jumped out on some of the questions that I was going to ask, and I love it because I see that we're kind of on the same wavelength. But I'm just going to jump right to it.
Let's do it. Segue.
We're talking about the nerves that are going to be present for everybody. I was cage side last time. I may cause some nerves, probably none. But now you got Uncle Dana cage side, so it's a big deal.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He wants to see wins. He wants to see pressure. He wants to be guys that are aggressive, and he wants to see finishes.
Yeah.
Do you believe that you have what it takes to finish Cristian Perez?
So I think that's the beautiful part. As much as it's something that it can, stir people's minds, and like a lot of times you'll see fighters, especially this one. This Contender Series is a very special thing, to where, like you said, it demands a certain level of a fighter that can finish people, and it demands that you fight that kind of fight to where you're at least looking for the finish constantly. And it puts you, in the UFC, you can go swoop a decision. And in the Contender Series, you can get a decision, but you might not get a contract. So there's more to it. But the thing that I'm really honing into, and I think it's from all my years competing, through the highest levels of wrestling, luckily having a deep record in fighting now, I realized, what got me to this point in my life? What got me to this show? Well, it was just being me. It was fighting the way I fight. It was being who I am. And I think, honestly, well, I know, if I can show up and truly be the closest version of myself, the best version of myself, that's going to be more than enough to finish Cristian Perez and get a contract. And worst case, if I don't get a finish, I guarantee it's going to be one of the most exciting fights of the season. It doesn't exist a bone in my body that doesn't want to finish this man and hurt this man. I'm not there to be friends. I don't care about the personalities and all these certain things. That will all come. I think this is my interview. This is my entrance to the show, and then everything else is going to come after I seize this moment. So as much as, like I said, there are still nerves, there are still things. I will tell you, you will see the same version of me you've seen in my past fights, if not a better version, just because I know what's on the line, and having someone as dangerous as Cristian Perez sitting across from me, that only makes me sharper. I've seen it time and time again, in wrestling, in the gym. The better my opponent, the sharper I am.
Yeah, and to kind of touch on all the things you're gathering in your gym right now, you have a really unique opportunity. to not just obviously be going to the Contender Series, but you got to see your own teammate Jon Kunneman go through it a week ago. Obviously, you guys have been on the front line for a long time. I've been following both your guys' career for a long time and your socials. You guys are absolute lunatics. Uh, like I sit at home watching you guys climb these mountains, and I'm like, I start to like sweat, bro.
Oh, bro, it's some gnarly stuff sometimes, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, yeah. We'll go into that a little bit later.
Yes, I think
But getting back to, getting to watch Jon, first of all, what an inspiring performance. I mean, like he didn't get the nod that he wanted, but I think it was the kind of performance that makes a lot of fans, you know, it's
100%.
memorable, right? It was an entertaining fight. Um, for you, getting to watch that fight and getting to see him go through that experience, is there anything in specific that maybe you gathered in the last week?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it's funny. I was actually just talking to him on the phone right before you called. He was checking in on me, asking me how's my weight and all that stuff. Literally right as you texted me. But yeah, I'll say for me, it was pretty cool to be able to see not only Jon, who's been one of my biggest training partners for the past 5 years. So we both were. I was think 2-1, and he was 1-0 as pros when we first started training, and now look at us 10-1 a piece. So it's been a pretty cool journey, and we've done a lot of the same things, fought a lot of the same shows. That's how we all met, so it's been a great journey, and it was really cool to see him literally kick off the whole season. How cool is that? And I was kind of glad though that we weren't on the same card, I'll be honest, both on week one, because we do share similar coaches, we do share similar just gyms, all that stuff. So I know that if that would have been the case, maybe some of our attention wouldn't have been the same on fight night. So I am grateful that I'm fighting a week after. I was able to see him do the walk. I was able to see, and my coach was too. My coach was able to go out and kind of get the feel of the Contender Series. So I think it definitely plays to my advantage a little bit just because I have the inside scoop. I will say, some things as I was touching on a little bit earlier. Sometimes, and it's happened to us all. I've competed my whole life. It's happened to me too. It happened to me in LFA, my one loss. Sometimes the magnitude of the moment can kind of eclipse the fact that you're there to fight somebody, if that makes sense. It's like you're there sometimes, like, and you get. I don't want to say starstruck, but you start to kind of get out of your own mind and into the moment itself, to where that becomes the thing that you're trying to feed, rather than do really just you can either expand your mind out or you can zoom in inwards. And I feel like for me, that's how I get dialed in. The more internal I go as I get closer to the fight, it really pays dividends. And I think, unfortunately, in Jon's case, he was a little bit wanting to, and it was exciting as hell fight, but he wanted to wanted to be exciting fighter, wanted to go out there, get the finish, the big win, the big knockout. And that's the way he does fight. But I think it was a little bit of trying to fight somebody while also trying to appease Dana, be exciting, those kind of things, to where his opponent, to be fair, he went out there just to fight. You could tell he wasn't cared about anything else. So it was something that I already knew about myself because it's happened before, but just seeing how that can happen, it reminded me again, go be yourself. Same with Jon. I think, we have to just be ourselves and know what got us to this moment in our career and just hone that in as much as possible.
Yeah, that's fascinating because like there's a reason I mentioned like your one loss in the opener, not because it's like an accolade. Usually I throw all the accolades in there, but when I looked at your record and I watched a bunch of your fights, what stood out to me was after that fight in 2021, um, it was like you came into like a whole nother era. And, obviously you've been a wrecking machine since. And I wanted to ask you about that and maybe what sort of growth happened, but it was like a maybe a maturation of your perspective, maybe.
Yeah, man. No, I think you hit the nail on the head. And honestly, if you don't mind, so it's a little bit of a story, but I find it fascinating because, okay, good. This is what shaped me into the fighter I am today, was that loss. And I know that that happens to a lot of fighters, and those moments of like the deep sorrow and that hurt, it really can be the moment to where I think it sends you to great heights, or it plummets you to the lowest depths. You can either allow that moment to take you over, or you can learn how to live with it and come back and build and really focus on what did I do wrong? Not anything outside of myself, but what could I have controlled within myself? That one fight, even after I lost that fight, I was damn positive I won. And there was a few things I thought I got robbed on, even when I watched it the night after the fight, I still think I won that fight. So that gave me a little bit of solace that where, okay, this guy, I lost, but I didn't get beat. Yes, I let it in the hands of the judges. I left it in the hands of the judges, which is something you should never do. And after that fight, I was like, oh, I'll never do that again. I will do I'll die trying to not let it go to the judge's decision, because if I do, who knows? We've seen bad call after bad call after bad call, even at the stage we're at now, at in the UFC. So I know it's not guaranteed until I stamp it. So that was one of the biggest first takeaways. And then so honestly, after that fight though, I had some damages. I literally just went to the mountains. I fell in love with the mountains. I stayed away from training for a few months, and I really just no contact with anybody. I kind of just shut off the face of the earth, honestly. And I went and just really just honed in on myself, and I tried to just pick apart my mental. And like I'm like, what went wrong? And here's the funny part: what happened. And most people don't talk about this, but I have heard some. I only remember maybe 2 minutes of that entire fight. What happened leading to that point, I only had 2 amateur fights, 1 pro fight, and I think coming from a 2-year layoff in between fights, my because I tore my ACL, COVID happened, so I had to go from a big 2-year layoff, and then all of a sudden I wanted to kind of skyrocket my career, so I choose to fight for the LFA, which is one of the biggest regional shows. And between that and fighting another guy on the ride just like myself, the moment started getting to me. I started thinking, I started trying to rationalize the moment in my head. Like, oh, we're just 2 guys going out there to fight. It's not that bad, trying to make it smaller than it was that moment. And I realized the whole camp I was doing that. I was going out in nature, and I was trying to make my mind at peace, because inside I was feeling so uncomfortable, I was so nervous, all these things. And I was almost looking for I was looking outwardly for solace rather than going deeper and deeper inwards. And I didn't know at the time, but this is how I reflected on it. So we're on fight day. Fight day happens. I lose the first round. I dominate the second round. Third round's happening. Again, I remember none of this. I was purely blacked out. I literally, after the bell whistled, I blacked out. I don't remember any of the moments, because I'm guessing the moment just got to me and I just went full like go mode. I remember nothing. It wasn't until the last round. I had him maybe down for 3 minutes control time. They stood us up because I accidentally hit the back of his head. No warning. They stand us up. He gets 5 minutes recovery, and he comes and unleashes a flurry on me. Just his last ditch effort. I remember getting hit. It was like 2 minutes left. I'm still blacked out at this point. Remember nothing. I remember getting hit by something. I think it was a knee, and I have a nice little scar here from it. And then all of a sudden, I remember just coming to. I literally, that knee woke me up, and also I was like, and I literally heard the words, "Are we gonna fall?" in my head. It almost seemed like it was out. It almost seemed like it was outside of me, but also is my own voice inside of me. And it was like time slowed for a second. It said, "Are we gonna fall?" And then I remember snapping to and saying no in my head. And then you see in the video, I start unleashing my own volley back at him, back him against the cage, take him down in the fight on top. And then and then I was awake. I was there, and I thought I won. I was celebrating a little bit. Lo and behold, I lost the decision, really close, and it gutted me. It hurt bad, but that moment of me coming to in a fight, of me legitimately like being woken up in a fight and realizing I need to be present in these things. I can't allow myself to black out. I have to be as present as possible. But that moment of like regathering my consciousness while in the midst of like getting knocked out, I've never not been 100% present in a fight ever since. I felt it. I felt that moment of what it was to come alive, and the every single second of every single round, I'm there now, and that's paid all the dividends of me finding the fights and finishing, because I got back to myself. And I think if I keep doing that, getting closer, getting back to myself, I'll keep winning.
Have you ever had another one of those experiences where you had that voice again since that moment?
Nope, that was the one moment where it was that almost where it was so surreal to where even looking back on it, it really felt like time stopped, because he was kneeing me in the face and I'm having these thoughts, and then I went and it just seemed so bizarre, but it definitely it made me better. It made me who I am now.
And so until that point, I mean, you said that at that point you decided it was time to kind of disconnect, right? And you took that period to kind of go off into nature. Was that new to you, or was that always a part of your life?
So I've always loved hiking since I was a kid. I've always loved being out in nature. I'm originally from California, and even before that, I was going in San Francisco hiking all the time. I climbed Mount Shasta just for fun. I loved nature, and I love testing myself and pushing myself up mountains. So I knew even going to Colorado, the mountains were kind of calling me like that. I wanted to go explore the mountains regardless, and it just took losing a fight to really be able to allow myself to take time off of training, take time off of relationships and people and different things, and just really go find go you know go figure it out. Go be alone with yourself. Me and my dog, just me and him going climbing, for 12 hours at a time straight. Just thinking, just going, just figuring out what it means to be me.
We're in this society now where like it's constant, just you're constantly receiving, stimulation, be it through your phone or, the computers or like just I'm guilty of it too. I'll have like a podcast playing in my ear while I'm doing, a million things. Um, and then it's really interesting how you're able to just, amidst all that, realize that maybe it was time to just unplug
Yeah.
and figuring out what's really going on the inside, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you wish you could learn lessons before the fall, before the you wish you could learn before it hurts, you know. But I'm a big believer. You could read 1,000 quotes, you could do all that, and it helps. But until like something forced you to really like understand, to really take the message in, it never hits as hard. At least not for me. I have to feel something, and feeling how bad it hurt to lose and how bad I didn't want that happen again. It definitely woke me up and just made me want to change some things.
Yeah, I think you had one decision since, and since then it's just been stoppage after stoppage after stoppage.
Yes, sir.
Tons of success. When I saw you fight, I mean, you were by no means a small for the weight class. But let's talk about it. You want to talk about hurt? You want to talk about dealing with pain? Let's talk about the pain that you may be experiencing right now. I'm assuming I'm talking to you right in the midst of your weight cut.
Yeah. Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, did you wrestle as high as like 197 pounds? Did I see that right?
I'll do you one better, brother. I went heavyweight in college.
Bro, okay, so where are you getting all this weight, bro? Because if I'm not mistaken, you're making your lightweight debut on Tuesday. Are you looking lean, man? You're smiling. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, man. And no, I'm hurting. I'm hurting for sure. But I've just I wouldn't rather any other hurt or suffering in my life than to be right here doing this. So like as much as it hurts, it's the only thing I'd want to be doing right now leading up to this fight. So it allows me to be happy and find the joy in it because I'm looking forward to it all. And I know as much as I hurt now, it's gonna be twice as nice when I get to eat after weigh-ins. It's gonna be twice as nice. But yeah, back to I've actually made lightweight 3 times. Sorry. Yeah, 3 times in my career. I made it the fight I lost was my debut, for the LFA. That was my lightweight debut. I did everything wrong. I cut all the way up the night before, and I tried to go to sleep, and I was at 155 pounds for, like, 12 hours. And so I really fucked up my system for that fight. Again, you gotta learn some things the hard way. I made my following fight was also at 155. I fought an Olympic wrestler, and I was able to put him out. I was able to beat him and out wrestle him for 3 rounds. That's why I went to the decision though, because he also was a dog. But and then I made it one more time since then, and every time it's always rough, always been rough. And I've been fighting at welterweight and middleweight for the past 2.5 years, so my body got pretty big and pretty used to that frame to where this one I've been dieting for 10 weeks straight in a calorie deficit. When I got the call, I was 185. And so and this morning I was 166. So I've already lost, what is that? Damn near 20 pounds in 10 weeks. And I still have another 10 or 11 to go. So it's brutal. But back to like, the only fortunate part was I wrestled as big as I could get in college. I was a heavyweight. I wrestled 197, like you said. I All American as a heavyweight, actually. So like that's why I'm used to wrestling some of the biggest, baddest guys on the planet and holding my own. Um, just because I love lifting. That was my first passion, was lifting weights. Just I loved how it felt to be strong. And I still think, I mean, for lightweight, I don't think I'm gonna find another man stronger than me. I think Islam Makhachev could have been the one to maybe just say something about it, but now he's at welterweight, so we won't know. So I fully believe I have the same strength and mental size, because I know what it means to wrestle these big heavyweights and to go against them and hold my own. So mentally, I'm a much bigger man than my body suggests. So and like my power, I think that people feel is speaks volumes to that. But yeah, eventually when I started fighting, I really learned how to hone in my weight, my diet. There are people that I trusted close to me, like the Diaz brothers. They were some of my first mentors when I started training. I trained out in Stockton with them for a couple years when I very first started fighting. So they really kind of told me, "Hey, man, we get it. You're big, but like your frame's a lightweight." And I was like, "Bullshit." I was like, "Nah." I was like, "You're full of shit." I was like, "I haven't been 155 since I was in middle school." I was like, and then and then look at me now. Look at me now.
But yeah, I suppose, you figure it out as you go, but sometimes it's funny to look back in hindsight and be like, fuck, they're right all along, right?
Yeah, so they knew something that I didn't. It's because they're the OGs.
Yeah, no doubt. But as a wrestler, I mean, there's not a lot of people that are really better at cutting weight than the wrestler, right? They
Yeah.
but for a wrestler, man, you sure as hell knock a lot of people out. Like, did you just fall in love with the hands, fall in love with, putting people out, or is it just kind of who you've kind of evolved into as a fighter?
It's been honestly a natural progression, and, I'll say the fight that helped me with that was the fight right after my loss against Boris Stavachkov. He was, an Olympic wrestler, a bronze medalist for, I think, Bolivia or Bulgaria, and, uh, and so in that fight, I really thought, "Oh, shit, like, this guy's an Olympic wrestler." I wrestled Division I, but I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna believe he has some of the best wrestling that you can get." So in my mind, I went into that fight like, "No, I'm gonna stand in strict, exchange with this guy because I don't think his striking is as good as mine, because he looks more like a pure wrestler." And I was right. In that fight, if you look at it, I didn't wrestle very much. I knocked him down like 3 or 4 times because I just decided I was like, "Hey, if I can't wrestle with you, I'm gonna do everything else I can to win." And, that fight gave me a lot of confidence in my hands and the power of that I can just, knock this guy down. And, I did respect him. So at that moment, I wasn't hunting the finish enough. But, looking back, I definitely could have got it if I was a little more, in the moment to get it. But, that fight helped me. And then just training a ton. I never really had a striking coach until I moved to Colorado. So literally, I literally was just kind of like I had the Diaz brothers, but I didn't have anybody give me a ton of time and just pure boxing. It was a lot of like jujitsu, a lot of boxing rounds. We didn't do much MMA rounds. So when I came out here, it was some of the first times I really was doing MMA rounds. So it was learning on the fly. And so just over time, it just naturally working with the coach I am now, Ryan Salisbury. We've been together for 5 years. He's gotten my hands really sharp and dialed in, me believing in myself and just understanding distance, just understanding what it means to be in good position to be able to throw a punch. All these things just made me hone into, oh no, like I can take these guys down when I want to. I can cage wrestle. That's some of my favorite. I fell in love with cage wrestling. Of getting guys against the fence and doing my damage there. I feel good that I bring the whole package, to where I can just open up and just allow it all to evolve and flow and trust my instincts that it will come when it's presented.
Yeah, I mean, you've kind of ran the gauntlet, like the ideal. I'm just gonna say, like the one of the best case scenarios to create the fighter. You're a guy that's strong, you focused on your strength at one point in your life. You've wrestled at the D1 level, right? You've made your way through the regional scene. You took a loss, you learned from it. Like, I think these are a lot of the boxes you want to check. Um, but it has been a long road. If I'm not mistaken, your record dated back to like 2019 as a pro, and 2000 is a fight 2018. Was there ever a point where you wondered if the call was ever if it was actually coming?
It was tough because I had such a good support system behind me in my just parents and just people that really believed in me just because I already had gone to the highest level in wrestling. So many people just believed in me that I could do this again, that I can, I can, because no one in my family wrestled, no one in my family fought besides in the streets, brothers, getting street fights and shit, but no one was like a dedicated athlete like I was. So I really was just figuring all this out myself. I didn't have any big mentors to go to and to really like tell me, hey, go with this manager, hey, go with this promotion, hey, maybe focus on your striking rather than jiu-jitsu because you're such a good wrestler. Just I didn't have anybody ever tell me that. So I literally was figuring this all out myself. So I had to learn, like you said, I had to learn all the mistakes myself. I had no one to blame. I had no one to, it just felt like it was the harder and longer road, but it was the right road to get me to this point to where it did take longer than I would have maybe liked for certain reasons, just because I had to figure it out, because I tore my ACL in half and had to get a full knee reconstruction. It took, damn near 2 years off of competing. So there's moments to where I could have stopped. I could have been like, hey, maybe this isn't for me. Like, it's taking longer. I'm getting all these injuries. I'm breaking my hand. But it always just felt like the most pure thing I could do. And I really love fighting. Like, I could have, I have a college degree. I could have tried to go do other trades. My dad owns a electrician business that he has done very well with. I could have taken these other little breadcrumbs, but I really, nothing feels better and more like me than fighting. And like I said earlier, I've always found that I'm trying just to be the best version of myself and stay the truest to myself. And when something just feels good, and not just in the vice way, but in the way that it makes you joyful, it's not a pleasure. It's a lot of suffering. So it's not a vice. It's more like it just makes my soul feel good. It makes me giddy. To where it's like that. No, I have to keep chasing that. I can't stop. And so no matter what's happened in my career, it's been beautiful. And I think it's literally all amassing to this, and to me not only getting in the UFC, but staying in the UFC and having a good career.
Have you allowed yourself to kind of picture Dana standing there, Laura Sanko saying, Logan Paxton, welcome to the UFC? Does your mind even go there yet?
It does, and even in my dreams, it does. I've had a few dreams. So like my dreams have been playing out in certain ways to where and this I'll touch upon it. I've been having dreams of like me maybe watching fights, me just kind of doing something, and all of a sudden this feeling will hit me, or someone will call me and be like, "Hey man, like congratulations, you won your fight. You're in the UFC." I'm like, "Wait, what the hell? I'm in the UFC. Let's fucking go!" And like so like it'll be these little moments of like surrealization and like coming to, and like it's like a part of me already almost like believes it or knows it that's gonna happen. And now I have to just go meet myself there. Now it's time to go meet myself to where I feel like I am or I belong. And in 2 days, I think I'm gonna meet myself, like you said, in front of Dana White, in front of Laura Senko. And these things I've envisioned, these things I've heard and believed for so long, they're gonna come to fruition. And I think it's gonna, in that moment, I don't know how I'm gonna react, but I tell you, it's something heinous is gonna happen.
Who's the first person you're running to tell?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I have most of my people there with me. Luckily, my close friends, my supporters. So it's gonna be hard, but it would have been my girlfriend, because she was the first person to hear the Dana White's Contender Series call. I would have been the first person to tell, or my my parents or my manager, but they're all gonna be there, so they're all gonna know.
Love it. Love it, man. Super exciting, man. I gotta tell you, dude, like, I struggle to like bring myself to bother people on a weigh-in week, because I know you got so many moving parts and so other things to worry about. But brother, the fact that you've reached out and you've been communicative with me to make this happen, I'm super grateful, man. And I really I didn't know what to expect. I was like, maybe I'm gonna get the Warverine because he's like starving and grouchy. Darn it. But Carly, you've been an absolute gentleman. I'm so grateful for your time. Um, Real quick, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of people watching on Tuesday that have never seen Logan Paxton fight before. So, what are they gonna learn about you on Tuesday night?
Again, just going back to, I really believe that if you don't know me, and if you do, you're gonna fall in love with it. You're gonna fall in love with my performance, just and my me, just because every fight I've had, every wrestling match I've had people come to me, and I just build these fans and these bases, just because I think they truly see that I do this because I love it. I do it because it is, the most truest expression of who Logan Paxton is. And but then the cool part is, everybody that knows me, everybody that truly knows me, and my friends, they all see this side. They see the funny, the happy, the jovial side. But then I do get to allow myself permission to be the Wolverine for 15 minutes, or as little as it takes, at least 15 minutes. I feel, but um, I get to allow that other expression of myself out that I don't think has as much utility in this plane of, and with people. And I love it because it's not an anger. It's not a dark side. It's just another version of myself that it's a good version, but it's a little meaner. It's a little more violent. And I like that the duplicity a little bit, for people to see both sides of me and to really learn, what it means to be the Logan, the Wolverine Paxton.
I love it, brother. Let me hit you with some rapid fire questions, and I'll send you on your way.
Let's go.
My man. All right, let's say, I mean, obviously, you've already pictured getting the contract, so let's go ahead and picture that UFC debut. What's somebody that you'd like to see yourself locked in with in the UFC roster already?
So two come to mind. One is Thomas Gant. Thomas Gant, because he's another top D1 prospect, DC's boy. So he actually so you know what's funny? I've said this a few times on shows, and he was on the show literally 10 minutes before me on another podcast. So it seems like we're having a few run-ins, you know, little twisted fate. And I have no animosity against the guy, but just we've had a few run-ins. And I tried to actually get a short notice call out when he had a pull out. I put my name in the hat. Sean Shelby said yes. Thomas Gant said no. So then he took my moment. So now I want it back.
That's fair enough. Fair enough. All right, what's harder, climbing or fighting? Scarier. Let's go scary. What's scarier, climbing or fighting?
So I'm weird when it comes to climbing. John will acquiesce. I don't get really scared climbing. I free solo stuff. I rock climb. I do these big mountains. I do it because I like that little bit of nerves. But it's more like, oh, I get to do this, not like, oh no, I have to do this. You know, so it's like I lean into it. Fighting in its own right when you're in the cage, not scary at all. An hour before, a little scary.
Wow. Cool. Biggest mustache inspirations.
Oh man, what's that guy's name? Damn.
Damn.
Don Fry. Thank you. That was the one. Don Fry's got to be the one. Cowboy hat and mustache. That thing rocks.
Buddy, that thing is hilarious, dude. Sometimes he's in the audience in the UFCs, and I'll spot him just by the mustache. It's like, dude, it's so legendary.
And that gravel voice.
Dude, he's so funny. Have you seen some of his clips that he puts out? Like the kind of like your Mantar clips are fire.
Oh yeah, talking about Stricklanders, talking about these ninnies, you know, in today's world.
Dude, we need more of that. We need more be like Don Fry, but that's just
100%. I got to get my mustache a little thicker, and then maybe I'll get the next Don Fry going.
it's kind of cool. Like you got like the dope mustache. Kunneman's got like the chin strap. Like together you have the full beard, but you rock them independently.
Yeah, it's weird that wasn't planned. I promise, but I mean, it's
Weird, and these are some of the opposites. These are the things that run through my mind. You know,
we talked about it. We literally said, I told him, if you ever grow a mustache, I get a bitch slap you, and he said, if you ever grow just a beard, no mustache, he gets to slap me.
you guys are absolutely out of control. And if you need proof of that, I've seen plenty of videos. All the lunatics. Brother, thank you so much for your time. I'm just so grateful that we got a chance to sit down and link up. I feel like UFC superstardom is just on the brink for you, my friend. And
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you.
I get to say I knew him when.
Let's go. Let's go.
Any final thoughts or shout outs before I send down your way, bro?
I'd love to shout out one of my sponsors right here, where the hat I'm wearing. Fitment, great people. They great friends, great people, great clothing, activewear, all natural, organic, and yeah, they're just awesome company. And then Carnivore Snacks too. They keep me fueled and fed.
Bro, I actually think I have a bag of carnivore snacks. They're not down here. They're upstairs. Dude, those are
Dude, they're so delicious, and they've been so good to me, just really bringing me almost as family, to where I love them to death.
dude, that is a solid sponsor. Well, awesome, man. Thank you so much for your time, Logan. And fight fans, make sure you tune in on Tuesday night as Dana White's Contender Series rolls on to week 2, and we get to see the Warverine Logan Paxton jumping in. Big fight against Cristian Perez, but honestly, like I said, I feel like there's some big things on the precipice for you, man, and I couldn't be more excited for you. One more thing, how can fight fans stay up to speed on all things Logan Paxton?
What was that? Sorry.
How can fight fans stay up to speed on all Logan?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's what I thought you said. Yeah, my main social media is the Instagram, just at Warverine_MMA, and that's honestly the best way.
Man, fight fans, tune in, check them out. Thanks again, Logan Paxton, my friend.
Let's go. Pleasure.
Talk soon.